There'll be a reason fewer and fewer people are moving to Tampa Bay. We had an active season last year.
Sure did. And according to a new study, affordability is really at the top of everyone's minds.
Tampa Bay, once Florida's crown jewel, where the sun kissed the beaches and real estate boomed, is now facing a crisis of staggering proportions. Once heralded as the epicenter of Florida's growth, it has become the symbol of a real estate bubble about to burst. What was once considered a haven for families, retirees, and investors is now the scene of a rapidly unfolding economic disaster. For years, people flocked to Tampa Bay, drawn by its promises of affordable housing, a growing economy, and the ideal Florida lifestyle. They saw homeownership as their ticket to financial security, and property values soared. Developers broke ground on new luxury homes, condos, and office buildings, eager to cash in on the influx of new residents. Politicians touted the region as a model of economic prosperity, with Governor Ron DeSantis using Tampa Bay's real estate success as the cornerstone of his political brand. But now, all of that has come crashing down.
Moving company both tell me instead of moving people to Tampa, now they're moving people out of Tampa.
In 2024, Hillsborough County, home to Tampa, saw an exodus of more than 10,000 residents. That's a complete reversal from 2022, when the county added a staggering 16,000 new residents. It's not just a small dip, it's a mass migration, and the numbers tell a devastating story. People who were once enamored by the dream of affordable, sunny Florida are now fleeing for their financial lives. The region that was once on the rise is now descending into a crisis of affordability, political spin, and economic destruction. And the worst part? It's only getting worse. The numbers are a wake-up call. Tampa Bay's real estate market, which once stood as a beacon of hope for families seeking a better life, has now turned into a financial quicksand. The region's population growth was driven in large part by people looking for better opportunities, whether they were retirees hoping to live out their golden years by the beach or young professionals seeking affordable housing and a growing job market. But that dream has been shattered. In Hillsborough County alone, the number of people moving out has skyrocketed. Tampa was once a place where newcomers couldn't wait to get in. Now it's a place where people are desperate to get out. As the cost of living soars, families who could once afford homes are now finding themselves priced out. Rents have soared, property taxes have followed suit, and the promise of affordable housing is nothing more than a distant memory. For many, it's no longer a case of wanting to leave. It's about necessity. Tampa Bay's real estate market, once fueled by a frenzy of bidding wars and sky-high home prices, is now stuck in a downward spiral. Insurance premiums have tripled in some areas, leaving homeowners with no choice but to sell or watch their homes become unaffordable. The soaring costs of hurricanes, flooding, and property repairs are pushing families who thought they were making smart financial decisions into the arms of bankruptcy. What was once a place for growth and prosperity is now the setting for a mass exodus.
The report states in 2023, nearly 35,000 people moved to Tampa. Last year, it was 10,000 people.
Tampa Bay's real estate boom was built on speculation, flipping houses, investing in luxury condos, and waiting for prices to keep rising. But as the market continues to crumble, it's clear what was once a flourishing housing market has become a ticking time bomb. Property values have dropped significantly in many areas, and the repercussions are enormous. In places like Pinellas County, home values have plummeted by nearly 6%. In more affluent areas near the beach, property values are crashing by 10% or even more. For homeowners who bought into the dream of Tampa Bay real estate, this sudden drop is a financial nightmare. Families that thought they were building wealth are now watching it evaporate before their eyes. Many are underwater on their mortgages, owing more on their homes than the market is willing to pay for them. But it's not just the middle class feeling the pain. Retirees who sold homes in expensive northern states and cashed out their savings to buy Florida condos are now watching their retirement plans fall apart. Real estate was supposed to be a safe bet, an investment in the future, but now it feels like a gamble gone wrong. The financial implications of this collapse go beyond just a few bad real estate deals. It's affecting entire communities, local businesses, and the state's economy. Local governments, which once saw booming property tax revenues, are now facing massive shortfalls as property values plummet. The money that once funded schools, roads, and emergency services is quickly disappearing, and there's no easy way to replace it. As Tampa Bay's real estate market implodes, the political ramifications are becoming impossible to ignore. Governor Ron DeSantis, who built his political brand on Florida's economic success, is now watching that brand unravel in real time. Tampa Bay's housing boom was one of the cornerstone achievements of his leadership. He praised the region's economic growth, citing it as evidence that conservative governance led to job creation and prosperity. Now, however, he's forced to face the devastating consequences of the market's collapse. The governor, who once stood proudly beside new construction projects and booming neighborhoods, has gone silent on the topic of real estate. Public appearances that once celebrated the state's economic successes have turned into carefully scripted events aimed at downplaying the severity of the crisis.
Cars and driveways are now replaced with for sale signs for a few reasons.
We have so much inventory, and the prices just skyrocketed.
Behind the scenes, sources within the governor's office are reporting panic. Approval ratings are plummeting, especially among property owners who feel they were misled into believing that home prices would keep rising forever. DeSantis, who built a national profile by celebrating Florida's booming real estate market, is now stuck in damage control mode. The messaging has shifted dramatically. Gone are the press conferences lauding rising property values and new construction. Instead, we're hearing carefully worded statements about market corrections and external economic factors that are out of the state's control. The reality, however, is much darker than anyone in Tallahassee is willing to admit. What's worse, the political fallout has spread beyond Florida. DeSantis' national appeal, once fueled by the state's real estate success, is now being questioned by Republican leaders. For years, Florida was held up as a shining example of conservative economic policies. Now, as the state faces a housing crash, national GOP leaders are quietly distancing themselves from the Sunshine State's policies. The narrative of Florida as a prosperous, conservative paradise is collapsing, and DeSantis finds himself at the center of it. The real estate collapse in Tampa Bay is bad enough, but the situation is made even worse by the region's insurance crisis. As property values plummeted, insurance premiums skyrocketed. Homeowners, many of whom had already taken on large mortgages to afford their homes, are now facing astronomical increases in their insurance costs. Some premiums have tripled, making it financially impossible for middle-class families to keep up. But the insurance crisis doesn't just stop at higher premiums. Special assessments for repairs and hurricane damage are reaching staggering heights, sometimes as much as $100,000 per unit in luxury developments. In many cases, homeowners are finding that they can't afford to keep up with rising costs, and their only option is to sell their homes, often at a steep loss. This insurance nightmare has created a perfect storm. Homes are unsellable because owners can't secure insurance, and those who can afford the premiums are left wondering whether their homes are even worth keeping. With so much uncertainty, it's no wonder that more people are leaving the area than ever before. The housing collapse is having a domino effect throughout Tampa Bay's economy. The construction industry, which once employed tens of thousands of workers, is now laying off employees by the hundreds. With new developments on hold and existing projects canceled, workers who once helped build Tampa Bay's boom are now without jobs.
But the Largo Moving Company has noticed something new this year.
We always get a lot more out-of-state moves around this time because school's out, but this year is almost double.
The city that was once known for its rapid expansion is now seeing construction cranes sitting idle, reminders of the promises of growth that were never realized. Businesses that once thrived on the influx of new residents are now closing their doors. Restaurants, retail centers, and service industries are seeing fewer customers and fewer new arrivals. Even the state's thriving tourism industry is feeling the strain, with the international airport reporting a decline in passenger traffic. What was once a booming regional economy is now in freefall. The exodus from Tampa Bay is also affecting local economies. As families and retirees leave, local governments are facing budget shortfalls. Services like public schools, police departments, and fire stations are seeing cuts as property tax revenue dries up. What was once a place of growth and prosperity is now a region grappling with an economic downturn that shows no signs of slowing down. The human cost of this collapse cannot be overstated. Tampa Bay's real estate market was once a source of hope and security for countless families, but now for many, it's the source of devastation. Families who moved to Florida believing they were making a smart financial investment are now facing foreclosure. Retirees who thought they were set for life are now watching their savings disappear. Young professionals who bought condos or homes as a way to build wealth are now looking at decades of debt service on properties that are worth far less than they paid for them. These aren't just statistics. They're real people whose lives have been turned upside down by a combination of market forces and political mismanagement. The families who believed the dream of Florida home ownership would lead them to a better future are now struggling to survive financially. The trust they had in the system has been shattered, and there's no clear path forward. As Tampa Bay's real estate market continues its downward spiral, one thing is clear: the collapse is far from over. Property values continue to fall, inventory keeps rising, and more people are leaving the region every day. What was once seen as Florida's greatest success story has become its most catastrophic failure.
For the past 3 months, Florida has averaged 180,000 homes for sale. That's the largest number in state history.
And whether it's the high cost of insurance, moving after hurricanes, or rising condo fees, more people than ever before are trying to sell.
Governor Ron DeSantis, once seen as the architect of Florida's success, now faces the political fallout from an economic disaster of his own making. The promises of endless growth and prosperity have given way to a nightmare of foreclosures, bankruptcies, and financial hardship for thousands of families. Tampa Bay, the region that once symbolized the American dream, is now a cautionary tale of what happens when speculation replaces sound economic planning and political ambition overrides the well-being of everyday families. The story of Tampa Bay's real estate collapse isn't just about property values or political careers. It's about the lives of the people who believed in the dream of a better life, only to see it slip away. As families continue to flee and the economic wreckage continues to mount, it's clear that Tampa Bay is no longer the paradise it once was. And for many, it's too late to turn back.